What does it mean to be interculturally competent?
Well, I think first of all, when people think about that term, the first thing they think about is, hey, it just means how do I communicate with other cultures? But actually it means a lot more than that. First of all, it means being able to understand what we have in common and our differences within different cultural settings. The other piece is beginning to recognize power and privilege within our context. And the third thing, which is the most difficult thing, is learning how to adapt to another cultural understanding. And it's not about assimilation or acculturation, it's about adapting, that their voices and their ideas become part, you might say, the DNA of a congregation or an institution.
So when you think about a Mennonite congregation or an area conference, what does that kind of an understanding mean for our calling to be the church?
So I think, first of all, it's essential that congregations are able to tell their story, their narrative. And we're going to be working on a process called Communities of Hope. And that process is to help congregations construct their current narrative. Who are they? How did they become who they are in their context? And then to move toward constructing a new narrative of who do they want to be now in the context that they find themselves. And most congregations are finding themselves in a context with far more diversity than they faced even 10 years ago. So what kind of narrative will they need? What kind of story will they need to be more inclusive? One of the ways we're going to do that with Communities of Hope is that we're going to train resource people to be available in various conferences, to be able to come to congregations. And the other piece is that we're going to offer all kinds of tools to evaluate their narratives. And one of those is the one I'm excited about, is the IDI, or the Intercultural Development Inventory. And that is an inventory that you can give as an individual, like you could take it yourself, or you could have a whole congregation, and it gives a profile of how interculturally competent is that congregation. And from there, they can have some concrete steps on how to build the skills they need to be more inclusive.
I'm wondering, how is this not just about 21st century Christians, but about what it means to be a follower of Jesus?
If you think of the story of Paul in Acts 17, when he goes to Athens and he goes to Mars Hills, this is a culture that he knows very well. And I find it interesting how he engages with the culture by going to Mars Hill, to the marketplace. And the first thing he tells the men there, he says to them, I know you are a religious people. So right off the bat, he acknowledges who they are and one of their cultural beliefs. And then he goes on to point out the inscription of the unknown God. And in that, he introduces Jesus Christ as the unknown God. If Paul didn't understand and know that culture, it would have been very hard for him to go in and be able to do that.
So how does this tie to our vision of being the church today?
Well, I think, again, another biblical story. We talk about the Great Commission. In Matthew 28, at the very end, is as you go about your business. It doesn't talk about only pastors or only people that are trained. It's everybody, every person that has accepted Jesus Christ and is a follower of Jesus. As you go about your business, in your workplace, at church, wherever you may be, sharing the good news. And so, if we are going to be the people that are sharing the good news, no matter where we're at, then we need to be able to engage with the other. And we cannot do that unless we have the skills, besides our own calling, to do that.